Oh. The wilderness is never as empty as it seems, and sometimes the line between hunter and hunted vanishes in an instant. From a tense 25-minute standoff with a defiant gray fox to a terrifying moose charge caught on a snowmobile dashcam, these encounters prove that nature doesn't always play by the rules. When the shadows start moving and the sounds become unrecognizable, would you have the instinct to survive, or would you freeze? Chris Ignoto of the YouTube channel Nature Here and Now was deep within a wetland area at 3:30 in the morning, recording a video centered on unusual animal sounds. What unfolded next would become one of the most disturbing wildlife encounters ever captured on camera. Throughout the next 25 minutes, Chris became involved in a strange vocal exchange with a fox. Each time he produced a sound, the fox answered with howls, while gradually moving closer through the marsh, shifting the moment into a tense and increasingly uneasy standoff.
How you guys doing? Chris Ignato here, and this is a little bit awkward. I have no idea where I am. How does that feel when it's 400 years ago and you're responding to an invitation from a close relative to start a wonderful community in a very promising future, only to be lured into the middle of nowhere by the sounds of an amphibian? Probably cost a person or two to stray the wrong direction. Carpenter frogs. How about that?
Some viewers who later saw the footage suggested the fox may have grown used to human activity, or was guarding nearby cubs. Others highlighted something far more troubling, observing that the fox's actions strongly mirrored territorial aggression, as though Chris had unknowingly entered space the animal claimed as its own, and it would not allow him to leave without recognizing that reality. Regardless of the reasoning, Chris captured one of the strangest wildlife encounters in the Pine Barrens, a 25-minute confrontation with a gray fox that refused to act the way a wild animal typically would. If the worst-case outcome had taken place, the fox may not have been bluffing, but instead testing how near it could approach before striking. In that moment, what would you have done if the animal suddenly closed the distance? Johnny B was trekking through a forest with his friend who was also filming the outing. Along the trail, they came across a cliff estimated at about 50 feet tall and chose to scale it. His friend climbed first, capturing every step on camera. The ascent seemed steady with no clear signs of immediate danger. When it was Johnny B's turn, the situation shifted quickly. He slipped but escaped without major injury. and later made light of the moment on social media. The reaction online was much harsher. Many viewers called him out for attempting such a risky climb without the right equipment or proper technique. Although spontaneous decisions can bring excitement to outdoor adventures, activities like climbing require preparation. Taking precautions matters, and Johnny B was fortunate he wasn't higher when he fell. Could have ended his life. What would you have done in that situation? And would you still attempt it without the proper gear? A group from Real Loose Adventures headed deep into isolated Australian bushland, tracking some of the most dangerous game in the nation. Enormous aggressive boars moved through the region with miles of heavy scrub, cutting the crew off from any nearby support. They never realized that one of these pursuits would come perilously close to ending in tragedy. The morning unfolded smoothly as the team pushed through dense palm country alongside their dogs, successfully bringing down several boars in rapid succession. By midday, the heat grew intense, forcing them to retreat to camp and wait for cooler conditions. When evening arrived and temperatures eased, they went back out to continue the hunt. Before long, the dogs caught a fresh scent near a swampy stretch packed with century palms, and that was when everything abruptly shifted.
Good boys. Good boys. Good boys. Good boys. Holy demon. Nearly. He hit me, his nose hit me. Boom! That was the closest I've ever been to getting ripped. I've jumped a few boars when you put up trees, but I'll just explain it. The boar was sitting straight through here. I couldn't see the dogs either side, so I didn't know where they were going to run, so I risked it. And I sort of tried to step around here, and I got out, turned back, and he come right here, and I jumped. And then I think the dog saved my ass, and he was still coming for me. Whew.
After narrowly avoiding serious harm, the event demonstrates how quickly a hunt in the Australian bush can shift from controlled to life-threatening. Moments like this serve as a reminder that a single mistake or poor decision can carry lasting consequences. If you had been there, would you still accept the risk, knowing how little time there is to react when things go wrong? In January 2023, Jeff's normal evening was interrupted by a sound so unsettling that even seasoned outdoorsmen would struggle to explain what type of animal might have produced it. It was around 9:15 p.m. when he stepped outside with his dog, something he did every single night. The temperature had dropped to about 10 to 15 degrees, and the conservation land behind his house stretched for miles without interruption. That property created a broad wilderness of marshy ponds, winding river channels, and dense forest. The terrain was so challenging to navigate that much of it remained largely inaccessible to anyone on foot. While standing in his backyard, Jeff heard something unusual that immediately prompted him to grab his camera.
But of course it stopped as soon as I started. All I can hear right now is dog barking, I think. Pretty sure that's a porcupine. That's not what I heard. Heard something quite different. But that was a porcupine. Way off in the distance is dogs still going crazy. Even though it's night, is basically conservation land. There's like a marshy pond. There's some private homes. Really, in a direct straight line, it's probably forest for a good, extremely difficult to get into wetland
pond. It just becomes inaccessible as it gets marshy. You just start to sink into these holes of mud, and you just give up. You can't walk any further because it's just not conducive to it. Oh. There it is again. That's what I heard when I first came out. That is terrifying. That was either like the biggest, sickest coyote, or I have no idea. Wow. I've heard coyotes many times out here, all hours, like wolf type call to like a pack of coyotes yelping with a kill. Fisher cats, foxes, I know that they sound crazy. That is totally different. That was deep. Oh my God. Tell me what that is. It's at the 4-minute mark, roughly. My motion detector light just turned off, and I've heard that howl twice now. Well, 3 times. The first time I couldn't catch it, and then the last 2, I'm out of here. That was probably just the house settling, but that was spooky. Someone's gonna have to tell me what that sound was. It's not one I've heard before. Keep getting spooked by, like, I think ice falling off of trees or something, so it sounds like something. The dogs, I don't know if you could hear the dogs still kind of barking crazy nonstop, because that was loud. First one was definitely louder though. The first one, when I first came out here, before I could even start recording, that was really loud. I was walking, so it sort of mixed in, and it didn't register with me until the tail end of it. I'm guessing it's, I don't know, 10-15 degrees out here. It's 9:15 p.m., something like that. Typical time for him to go out. I've heard coyotes at all crazy hours of the night, but that was different. That's just a motorcycle or something. The porcupine kind of freaked me out for a second. So it's not the porcupine. That other sound.
Even in complete darkness, the area beyond his yard was clearly protected land, filled with wetlands, waterways, and thick forest, reaching far into the distance. Although a small number of private homes were nearby, the land directly behind his house quickly became uninterrupted woodland. Much of it was extremely difficult to access, with muddy marshes and unstable ground that made walking nearly impossible. To this day, no one has been able to definitively determine what caused those sounds. Some believed it may have been an unusually ill coyote, while others remained far less convinced about that explanation. Encounters like this show how limited human awareness becomes after dark in isolated places. When visibility drops and sound travels unpredictably through wetlands and forest, even familiar surroundings can quickly feel unsafe, turning hesitation or simple curiosity into unnecessary danger. In September 2022, a group of hunters faced one of the most aggressive harassment incidents they had ever encountered during a routine, fully legal early morning goose hunt. They had clear permission from the farmer, were positioned in approved areas, and followed all regulations. But as the first flocks began circling, a nearby man repeatedly interfered, timing his yelling and arm waving to intentionally scare the birds and disrupt the hunt.
How many we get?
6, 7.
We got 6 right there. That was good. That was a necessary shot.
No, yeah, every time.
So group 25 came through, and they're circling once or twice. Made a big bank over the road, and then they looked like they were gonna land, but they didn't want fully to commit. So I said, we ended up shooting 7. So it's a good start.
Do we want to push those?
Hold on, I got it.
Right now, yeah, calm down. Unload your gun. Yeah.
This is Don't say anything.
Not a word. Don't worry. Don't even worry about it. Don't worry.
Don't even worry about shooting.
We're not shooting.
Yeah,
We're not confiscating our birds?
We heard what she said.
What?
What'd she say?
We're not confiscating our birds.
What began as frustration escalated into deliberate sabotage and false accusations, including claims of illegal weapons, unsafe shooting, and hunting before sunrise.
Are you serious?
You shoot birds with birdshot, and then you said we had AR-15s.
We're using AR-15s.
And we were shooting them at 4:30 this morning.
Yeah.
But I don't know
You
about
can't
you.
even see it
If we get them to decoy,
We weren't even here at 4:30. No, we weren't even here at 4:30.
You can't even dig some of this stuff. My guy literally said we had AR-15s.
That's insane.
He's so flustered, he went and checked the mail. It's Sunday.
When law enforcement arrived, the hunters calmly presented video evidence, written permission, and proof of legal shooting times. Officers quickly confirmed the hunt was lawful and that the accusations were unfounded. In the end, the footage showed not reckless hunters, but targeted harassment, raising a larger question about how often lawful outdoor activities are disrupted by misinformation, fear, or hostility from those who don't understand the rules. In February 2016, a hunter and his friend were riding a snowmobile toward their tree stand when a moose suddenly stepped onto the trail, stopping them cold. Attempts to scare it off failed, and the animal charged, forcing a split-second response.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hey, 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 hey. Get!
The moose was taken down and likely later fed nearby wolves. Many believe it was the safest choice after the warning failed. But it leaves one question: when an animal commits to a charge, is there ever another option? Around 6 years ago, a Reddit user shared lost footage from a leopard hunt that went wrong, showing a hunter who underestimated the danger. It raises one question when predators are involved. Does experience truly matter? On November 28, 2025, footage from a hunter's helmet camera recorded an unusual form shifting among the trees. What initially seemed normal soon appeared to show a creature-like silhouette gliding through the undergrowth. Some think it was simply an animal seen incorrectly, or could it have been something else moving just beyond view? About 5 years ago, a hunter posted unsettling footage documenting unusual sounds. He often heard late at night typically between midnight and 3 a.m. Residing on an isolated property in Canada's Pacific Northwest, he said the noises carried through the forest nearly every evening. The audio disturbed many viewers and quickly led to continued discussion. Some suggested the source was coyotes, while others said the cries sounded far more eerie, almost like distant screams. So what was truly producing those sounds in the darkness? And why did they seem unlike anything recognizable? On October 14, 2025, a hunter positioned a trail camera while scouting near Nordegg, Alberta, and found a large structure built from branches. Hours later, the camera transmitted a startling image followed by video clips. Some believe the formation was natural or constructed by someone, while others question what may have activated the camera. So what assembled it and what returned once night fell. In October 2023, a hunter set out on a solo camping trip, anticipating a peaceful night outdoors. The stillness soon shifted when abrupt noises shattered the quiet. Some think it was an animal, but just how near was whatever caused the sound? And was it truly gone?
Ah! Ah! Ah!
12 years ago, on January 15, 2013, a hunter was deep in a snow-covered forest tracking game when strange, unfamiliar sounds carried through the trees.
Oh, where'd it come from? We're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, all around us.
Well, call me nuts, but I reckon that came from up there. But, well, unless the trees backed it down and... oh, it's cold. Unless the trees made it echo, I don't know. I've never heard a sound like that before. It did have an element of eeriness, isn't it? Yeah.
The noise appeared to surround him, unlike anything he had experienced before, leaving him clearly shaken. Some suggest it was simply natural acoustics, while others aren't convinced. If it wasn't just the forest echoing back at him, then what was creating that sound out there? About 2 years ago, a hunter in his nearby forest suddenly found himself in an unexpected confrontation that could have turned out much worse. Trusting fast instinctive reactions, he was able to get out safely without ever firing his weapon. Some view it as pure instinct kicking in, but when danger strikes, is survival driven by training or simply raw instinct? Early one morning, a bird hunt with friends took a dangerous turn when a hunter was hit by stray pellets and knocked to the ground.
Right in that... Is he running? He's in that tree line there, right around there. Ouch! God damn it! Ouch! Who's at me? Guy knocked me over. You guys got watch where you're
He eventually made a full recovery. It leaves one question: how quickly can an ordinary hunt become hazardous when errors occur? That's it for tonight. Which moment creep? Drop it in the comments. Have your own story, share it with us, and stay tuned. The next one is even darker.